Hi guys, Sean the Buff went back here for another PTCGO video, and today we are doing a recording on some Players Cup 3 gameplay. So today we are testing yet another variant of Eternatus, or playing with another variant of Eternatus. This one is a lot more of a straightforward consistency list, along with some sort of disruption in the form of both Crushing Hammers and a single copy of Dangerous Drill and a single copy of Tool Scrapper. Both of these cards are disruptive due to the fact that they can help remove opponents' tools that they'd be relying on to either retreat, and Dangerous Drill can even discard special energies. So the list is very straightforward. We have a 4-4 line of Eternatus and Eternatus VMAX, which hits for 270 at max due to its ability Eternal Zone that allows you to have up to 8 bench Pokemon, and then Dread End hits for 30 times, hopefully 8. So that's the idea behind it, and then, well, 9 Pokemon in play, sorry, including the active, is 270. 4 Crobat obviously is a must and essential. Dual copy of Zigzagoon, and we have some one prize card attackers just to help us with the Decigoons matchup in the Spiritomb and, the Hooper. I chose not to play the other Hooper because it is weak to grass, obviously, and therefore they can one-shot it, whereas this one's a little bit more resilient against that matchup, and it's also a little bit more resilient against the Orbeetle decks that are, for whatever reason, running about. And then 3 copies of Yveltal. The fact that it has free retreat is beautiful. It has an attack called Derail, which can also discard special energies, and Clutch, which in some matches can turn out to be Clutch because it can stop your opponent from retreating, and then with any luck you can just see them deck out, but it's not usually used for that, but we'll see what happens. And then other Pokemon search cards in Great Ball, Quick Ball, and 2 Pokemon Communication. 4 Switch to make sure we never get stuck by the Tandem Shock from Raichu and Raichu GX. 3 copies of Boss. I find it's a little bit better than 4. 4 seems to be a bit overkill, even in an aggressive deck such as Eternatus, primarily due to the fact that this is a bit more disruption based. And because of the disruption, we are playing a full 4 count of the Marnie, and then for additional consistency, 4 copies of Pokemon Research, and then 10 just pure basic Dark Energy. We are running basic Dark Energy because of the fact that Luke Metal does thrive on Zamazenta being able to use Assault Tackle to discard special energies, and in that matchup, which is already a rough matchup for this deck, then it's better to play energy that can't be discarded via Assault Tackle, so that you can continue, obviously, developing your board state and your game state and things like that, and even eventually being able to attack with Crobat and such. It's also the reason why we're playing a Tool Scrapper. So, a very straightforward deck and a very short intro due to that, and we'll be back with our first gameplay of the Players Cup 3. So we are here for our first round of a Players Cup 3 event, and our opponent has chosen to go, let's have a look, first. So this deck pretty much thrives on going second, I would say, and it is more beneficial to go second. With this opening hand, providing we don't get reset stamped for whatever reason, if my opponent attempts to reset stamp us so they can draw more cards off Crobat. With this hand, we will be Great Balling first, as we do not want to find another Eternatus VMAX, we want to find one of our other Pokemon. And it does seem that we are against Luke Metal, which is a bit of an issue. So we will start the Great Ball and find ourselves a Crobat, which is good. Because my opponent has attached an air balloon here, it does mean that we can damage it, thankfully. So we will Spike Build, because keeping our Spiritomb around for this match will be very beneficial. So we will put the Eternatus VMAX back into the deck, and if we can draw another Dark Energy here, I might not even commit to a support for the turn, just simply relying on getting my Eternatus built up. So we do get the Power Accelerator, and because we have 2 copies of the Eternatus VMAX in hand, we will not be using Marnie. However, my opponent could Marnie me, so we'll see what happens. Marnie wouldn't be too much of an issue here, because we do obviously have a 4/4 line of Eternatus V and VMAX in the deck. And we do also play not only the Spiritomb, which luckily for us we have found straight away, but we also play the Hooper. So we will Spite Build, play this VMAX down as we found one. We're not going to use it right now, we're not going to evolve the active, just want to keep digging this as much as possible. And I think here I will just Crobat for a couple more cards. I'm going to keep the VMAXs around as we don't know if we prize any. We didn't, but we did prize a single copy of Eternatus, it would seem, which isn't too bad. So we'll grab ourselves a Crobat. We prize no Crobat, so that's lucky. And we'll draw some more. And the end game here is literally just to keep digging this. And I'm not going to attach this energy. Because we'd like to keep one on both Eternatuses to give us the options to deal with this, which I assumed my opponent was playing an ATP deck due to the fact that he air ballooned this and not metal goggled it. We're also keeping the Dangerous Drill around because of the fact that we're not keeping it around apparently, Jitamani, but in case this gets a Big Charm, the Dangerous Drill does deal with the Big Charm. But so does the Tool Scrapper that's also in deck, so see what happens here. If my opponent attempts to Fion, we can push up the Yveltal, and those Crushing Hammers are the reason why I kept the Darkness Energy around. And here we are likely probably just to see a Zacian, which we do. My opponent's probably got a Metal Sorcerer in hand as well, as they always do. They play 4, but it seems during the gameplay as almost as if they seem to play 9. They see it exactly when they need it, that often. So we'll see if they've got the Metal Saucer here. They may even attempt to Metal Saucer to this. And we see no Metal Saucer, very surprisingly. The fact that we found our Hooper is also very good. And again, we're just going to keep Spite building. I'm going to leave it at 40, never going to put it to 50 in case my opponent does play a one-off random Zigzagoon, which could throw a wrench into our plans. We will... Well, we know we've got a lot of the Eternatus VMAX in deck. And we do need to hit an energy this turn, so we'll get this back. Well, put it back into the deck just to grab it again. Thin through some additional cards in our bid to Crobat and potentially find ourselves an energy. That is all we would like this turn. And we do find one. So I think the real issue here is more the Zacian than the ADP. So if we hit heads, we are just going to take it off this, potentially force a Crushing Hammer, potentially force a Metal Saucer. And we do still have 3 switch left in the deck as well, so very good outs to finding one. This is obviously going to become an issue at some point, but Oh well, and he does Metal Saucer to it, so that would, to me, potentially mean that he has a switch in hand. Just hit tails on his thing, and he does have the switch, and does he have a supporter to go with it? Just a Metal Goggles, which he puts there. Very strange. So we are going to bump this up again. We are going to Zigzagoon and hit the ADP on the bench, and we are definitely not going to Marnie. So here we have another Crushing Hammer, and we know my opponent can't do much about it unless he top decks a supporter. So we will Power Accelerator again, and we're not going to push the energy onto anything. And next turn we can swing in with the Spiritomb. Spiritomb at this point will be doing 130 damage, so that is exactly enough to get a knockout. Well, it's more than enough to get a knockout, sorry. And just get an energy here. So now the question remains, does my opponent play Zigzagoon? It's not very likely. So I think we're just going to go in with the Spiritomb, if I'm perfectly honest. And just Anguish Fire for the knockout. And that gets rid of their wall for the game, so unless they happen to play 2 Zamazenta, we're not entirely worried. We're not entirely worried if they happen to knock out our Spiritomb now either. And there is the Tool Scrapper. So any other tools that they could potentially put in play right now is going to get Tool Scrappered away. It does seem that my opponent had an unfortunate start. That being said, I wasted a lot of my keys due to the horrific RNG on this game, where my opening hands consisted of bosses for supporters and no other draw supporters, energy with no other Pokemon to attach them to but the active, and no Pokemon search at all or anything like that. And I got donked about 8 times in a row. So it was the most unfortunate of game states, most definitely. So this Marnie, not too pleased to see. But we do have plenty in our hand to work with. Our Hooper, Evil Admonition Hooper, is only currently hitting a grand total of 50, very unfortunately. And right now we are going to evolve this, retreat, and again, like I mentioned, I'm not going to be using Building Spite, and we have more than enough damage to take the knockout. We don't know if my opponent plays Zigzagoon, as I mentioned before, so using a Building Spite there would be not good at all. So the boss in hand and no bosses in the discard, we are likely to finish this game next turn. However, this turn it is very likely that we could see a boss play made from my opponent. If he uses Fion, we are obviously just going to push up the Yveltal that gives us free retreat. So even if he stamps me to 1, I'll still be able to retreat the Yveltal and attack for the winning hit. So there we see the boss, but we do have the switch in hand. So the question remains is, does he have a reset spell? And if he does, we've gone through 3 energy on the board and 2 in the discard, which means there's 5 left in the deck. So, and yeah, it's just an Intrepid Sword from my opponent. And we have both switch and boss. So this is on 250, and because my opponent has Altered Creationed, I'm not full metal walled, which means that we will be using Switch and just simply Dread Ending for knockout. My opponent's obviously dictating or trying to decide whether he wants to attach the energy or not. Here, it's not really much of a decision. You literally attach it or lose. Because if this gets killed, then you lose anyway, so you may as well just attach it. I don't know why it was taking so long, but and that is simply Dread End for knockout. So that's all for game 1 in this Players' Cup event. And yeah, so just to show you, that's the entry requirement. This is a Players' Cup tournament, and we'll be back in a minute or so for game 2. Be right back. So we are back for game 2 in our Players' Cup 3 tournament, and my opponent is once again going first, which again is always good for us to see. I think the only decks potentially that go first in this format are ADP-esque decks, because they like to get off the cheeky T1 more wild GX. However, we do see Eternatus. And if you're playing an Energy Spinner, I mean, going second, in my opinion, would be better. So this seems not the correct course of action to me, but each to their own. And we're wondering if we're going to see all these scoop ups and all the rest of it. Seeing another Eternatus right here is absolutely brilliant for us. We do, however, miss the hammer. We do have a Great Ball. I think, because we want to hammer and get as many energies on as possible, we will, yeah, con this back in, because we don't want to draw it off Crobat. If we're going to draw it at all, I'd rather draw it on the next draws after the Pokemon Research or the potential Marnie that may be incoming. So time to start building Mr. Tomb himself up. And we'll just Crobat for 4. Could have Crobatted for 6, but see, if we had, then we would have discarded our Professor's Research and potentially not got another supporter. So here, if we dig for 30 and the 2 Zigzagoons that we've got in the deck, we don't really achieve a whole lot. So it may just be better to Quick Ball, get the Yveltal, switch into the Yveltal, and potentially find another energy off this research, because realistically what we're looking for here is a Crushing Hammer, and we did not find one. So unfortunate all around, it's got to be said. That being said, if my opponent's playing a heavy Zigzagoon based list, then he may not be playing Crushing Hammers. So this could be very risky, but we are just going to Power Accelerator, because what's life without risk, eh? So if he has a Crushing Hammer here and manages to knock out the active as well, that would be obviously extremely unfortunate. And, well, he has the Crushing Hammer, but as well hits heads, which, of course, oh, well, thankfully he hits heads, but he's got 2 Crushing Hammers, which is insane. So yeah, he was destined to hit 1. But this isn't too bad at the end of the day, because we have the Yveltal, we have another Eternatus to put down, or had, but my opponent just seems to have everything. And he already has knockout on this. So things are looking somewhat terrible. We do, however, thankfully, have ourselves a Crushing Hammer here. So with any luck, he'll have missed the energy. He has Crobatted a lot. And the question remains is, does he have the energy in hand? Which he doesn't. So we have caught a break, surprisingly. We do miss another hammer. And we are going to common this for our Crobat. We don't know if my opponent's playing Scoop Up Nets, but he's locked himself. He can potentially he'd have to find 4 Scoop Up Nets basically to be able to kill off a Spiritomb this turn, and we haven't seen any evidence to him playing the said Scoop Up Net engine list. Sorry, just had a minor brain fart then. And thankfully, we do get in some more bench. So if he wants to gust up my bench Eternatus VMAX first, that isn't an issue with me. He'd need energy and bot here, which he has research. So he's looking for the energy, but he has already lost 60 HP, which means that my opponent is on 280 HP. So if I can find just one of my Zigzagoons right here, then we are going to be taking the knockout, which we also top deck a Professor's Research, and that will be all we need to take this knockout. Now, we're not sure if my opponent is going to be playing the Big Charm build. However, in a Big Charm list, the Tool Scrapper would not help us anyway because we are two-shotting regardless. So we are going to Quick Ball away the Tool Scrapper for the Zigzagoon. Put the Zigzagoon in play. Yes, give this a dig. Yes, I'll be attaching this here. Yes, I'll be building Spite. As we've still seen no evidence of the Crushing Hammers. And this is 270, which plus 70 is 340 for the knockout. Now, wherever my opponent places energy next turn is exactly where we're going to be using Boss's Orders on, and we do also prevent a Boss's Order stall type play from my opponent. We also don't know if he's playing Turbo Patch. And let's see how many energy my opponent is down. He's only down 2. So it's time to find out whether he's playing Turbo Patches or... Well, the grabbing of this Eternatus would make me feel like he is. But he is just Pokecomming it back in for whatever reason. My opponent has already used 3 Crobats, as have I, so keeping an eye on the Crobat count is extremely important in this match. And we do see a switch into this Hooper. So, I mean, yeah, he's going to go into this. That's fine. And if he power... There's the boss play that I was talking about that I expected. And he's going to boss in this, which is, you know, irritating to say the least. But it is time to find out whether my opponent... let's see. My opponent has a lot of abilities in play. And I feel like putting this down, putting this down, Great Balling for a Pokemon that we don't mind being Marnie's away, like this Eternatus VMAX for example, and then Boss's Ordering in this thing. We have used 0 of our Boss's Orders, so we are just going to straight up boss this. My opponent here would need another Eternatus VMAX plus energy plus switch. That combination of cards would obviously be most troublesome. And we do see another Zigzagoon going into the deck, so we know he plays at least 3. And there is the Eternatus VMAX. And now we need to find out if he has the switch. So he has Crush and Hammer, which thankfully hits tails. And he's going to have to quick ball away this Eternatus VMAX, which seems very, very suboptimal to me. He's only got 1 left in deck. Granted, he has a small deck, but now he has to find it. And he's attempting another Boss's Orders play. So, what can we expect here? Well, firstly, we're going to switch into this and simply Marnie, because we would like to find our bosses. And there's 1. And we potentially needed this energy attachment. And we'll grab this, because we don't mind if it goes to the bottom of the deck. And we have more draw supporters to work with now. And another Crush and Hammer. So my opponent needs to find the VMAX this turn. He also needs to reset Stampers if he plays it, which is very likely in this build, considering he doesn't seem to be playing a lot of problem cards. If he's attempting to quick ball for Crobat here, he'll be sorely disappointed. I imagine he has a Pokemon Communication in hand, or, well, Professor's Research then. So now it's time to see what he discards. He discards the Zigzagoon. So he does find the Eternatus VMAX. And the hammer there is very, very annoying. We now need to top deck an energy. Which we do. So, a top deck of the energy will lead to this dread end for game. So, very intense there towards the end. I feel like I might have misplayed a little bit, walking into that Crush and Hammer play. And we will move directly on to game 3. We're against Poison Ivy male version, apparently. Wonder how much it costs to get all that equipment on your account. So we win the coin flip, finally, and we are not going to choose to go first because most decks thrive going second, and this is certainly one of those decks. A Crobat start is, however, god awful. And we are against Center Scorch, I imagine being the only deck that plays type Null. It could be some sort of Tempo Zard as well. So we'll Crush and Hammer. Not sure if I'm too bothered about the Crush and Hammer. Hitting heads there could have potentially saved them. So we'll grab this Spiritomb. We'll build some Spite. We will discard the Marnie, as he didn't do a whole lot of his hand. Grab the Eternatus Boy. Switch into our Eternatus Boy. And Professor's Research for a full 7. Which we find a very delicious hand. But the question remains, what are we going to discard? And I think the only answer here is a switch. So we will find ourselves another Eternatus. We're not going to put the Zigzagoon in play because it does allow us to be able to Pokemon Communication for a potential VMAX that we may need to find next turn. And we will Power Accelerator. Now the hand we've been given is awful. And this happens to me a lot in these tournaments. The RNG I've been dealing with in this tournament has been absolutely ridiculous. I'm contemplating dropping the energy count down to 9, because 10 has always been a little bit just over the too much line for me in this deck. But we see a reset stamp for whatever reason. I assume my opponent is going to be wanting to Crobat here. Another reset stamp. So my opponent clearly has an awful hand. Although, seeing the fact that I'm about to discard this on any energy is also not good. And now we've got to find a switch as well, when we're down 2. So he's attached a fire here for whatever reason. And I will be building Spite. I'll Crushing Hammer this. Well, I would have attempted to. But we are just going to Power Accelerator again and get yet another energy onto play onto this Eternatus VMAX. It is by no means threatened next turn, and therefore I absolutely do not mind playing that. So my opponent's got himself into the game, but at this point we're going to be pretty much set up. We see a discard of another switch, a Mallow and Lana, another boss. So all good cards for me to see my opponent lose. He's grabbing the Savai. So we are against a sort of Turbo Tempozard deck, whatever they may be called. And here I would imagine we will see another Crobat, or the first final Sensor Scotch to hit the board. And we'll see another Sensor Scotch hit the board, most likely, or will we see another Type Null, potentially. So he grabs nothing, which is the right play. Benching out here would have been awful, as my opponent doesn't know what I have in hand, so I imagine we're going to see a retreat into this. And maybe potentially a Crobat as well, we're going to see, it seems, or would seem. My opponent has yet to hit a single Giant Hearth or a single Welder, which I love to see, obviously. And they're down 2 bosses odds as well. So they're going to Eldegoss. And are they going to Eldegoss for boss? They are. So this is fine by me. It seems a bit of a pointless play. I am about to lose a lot of energy, but we've got 3 in play, 3 are about to discard, and the 2 in the bin. That's 8 out of 10. So we will Professor's Research here, and Building Spite. Oh, put this in play. Play this. Play this. And that's basically all of our boys ready to go. I feel like I may quick ball, great ball, sorry, and grab this. I doubt very much that my opponent is playing Mawile. It might have been better to keep that in deck. And we'll just Dread End anyway. My opponent's board state is not looking too threatening. And with the looming threat of another Eternatus V in the back, and a Spiritomb is steadily gathering energy as well, or gathering damage, sorry, which in regards to its attack could be classified as gaining energy, you would say. And that's very quite the disappointing move by my opponent. So we're going to discard the Yveltal, We do severely need to find a switch. Grab nothing. Not a switch, sorry. We will switch into this. Another Eternatus in play doesn't affect anything. We'll build some Spite. Another Eternatus in play could actually potentially be a liability. So we're going to put this down. Dig this, I suppose. And Crobat. And we haven't been through any boss's orders yet. So my opponent's used 2 and his Eldegoss. The question is, does he play 3? 3 would obviously be disappointing. I think we are now also down. We're down 3 out of 4 of our switch. Discarding those energy very early was very unfortunate. It could be the path my opponent will take to defeat me. I think the best course of play here is just to pass. So we finally see a giant half from my opponent, which probably means a welder onto the active. Which at least means not a boss's orders. You see a Heatran in play. My opponent once again benched out. And my opponent saving his Senscorch V. So here, I would love to find an energy, and we do not. And we see no visibility of scoop up nets played for my opponent. That doesn't mean, however, that I'm going to build and spite this turn. All that I am going to do is Dangerous Drill away one of these to get rid of that. And potentially Crushing Hammer as well. And I think that's potentially all I want to do. We don't know how many energy we have prize as well, so this is the main issue here. We have 4, 6 in the discard, 2 in play, and we don't know if we've prized any. We're giving my opponent too much room to move here. And hopefully he finally evolves this Senscorch. If he does evolve the Senscorch, I'm going to take a boss's order knockout on the Heatran, because the Heatran would be the most serious issue here. Or would it? I think potentially just bossing this in actually would be better. We do have Spiritomb still to work with. And now is the time when I want to evolve this. I'm pretty certain. Anything else just seems bad. And we don't want to fall into the trap of the constant threat of the little Center Scorch V using that silly Radiating Heat move. We do see another giant half of my opponent, so it could have been a waste using that Dangerous Drill. And we do see a loss of the Reshazard. I think here I'm just going to press done a lot and see if we can deck my opponent out, which we don't. We see he finally goes on the offense, so he must have a boss in hand. He doesn't have a boss in hand. It's very risky. This is hitting for 360 as well, which is painful in itself. So we may as well advance this. And things are not looking entirely great. See what my opponent's got in the discard. He's down 3 switches. So let us go for the stall tactic. Is he just going to attempt to welder here? And pass. We know we have things to hit my opponent with, so I don't even potentially want a Marnie. Oh, well, we'll put this down and pass. Great ball. Keep that in the deck. Giant half away. This. That's done. Pass. So we have a total of 15 cards. And we finally see a Fire Crystal from my opponent, so he is going to welder here. Or he's going to attach here. So now I don't know what the right play is. I think the best thing to do would be to take this knockout, because we don't know if we've prized any other energy. So we'll giant half, and we have prized the other energy, so we do right here need to Marnie. We need to hit this energy off the prizes right now. Can we do it? That is the big question. Please, please, please give me the energy. We do not get the energy. So we have now probably lost. This is hitting for a grand total of 400. Is it? 7 times 4, 28, 320 it's hitting for, sorry. Now it's hitting for 360. And now we need to figure out whether or not we can once again stall my opponent. So we are going to need to boss's order. My opponent has a total of 7, 5, 12 cards. So let's go with this. And we will retreat into the Zigzagoon. And we will pass turn there, potentially. We'll threaten him with this. We'll find out if he plays the Zigzagoon or not. This could be that could have been the losing part of the match, because if he does play a Zigzagoon now, he can just ping this, switch into this, and win. So we see an air balloon, and we need to find out if my opponent's other air balloon is prized. So we will tool scrapper this, get rid of it. And boss's orders in the Volcanion. Now at this point we've lost either way, so we do just retreat into this, as it can take the most hits, and just press done. So we can't weld on. Oh yeah, well he just takes knockout. So well played to my opponent. We did forfeit very early by discarding all of those energies. It was my opponent's out to winning, and he seen it. So very unfortunate that we didn't hit that last energy off the prize, which means I don't know why it's doing this. Yeah, it's just annoying that it does that. Does mean we come second in this Players Cup 2. So not a bad showing from Eternatus, and hopefully we will win the next one. So I will be right back with the deck list. Be right back. So all this video showed, sorry the camera angle's gone a bit wonky. All this video showed that once again RNG was totally not in my favour. I was forced to use that Professor's Research to be able to gain the advantage in the battle, and it was immediately my downfall. My opponent capitalised using Radiant Heat to discard energies from me, which was entirely frustrating, and the fact that I'd prized 2 as well and was getting them all in my hand like that was the very proof that I was talking about at the start of the video, that the RNG that this game decides to give me is mind-boggling, and really just makes me scrub my forehead like that. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, thank you for watching. Please drop a like if you did enjoy it. Please subscribe to the channel, it means the world to me. And keep an eye out for the next video, where I will be performing with Pikarom in yet another Players Cup tournament. In the next video, I will be giving out 2 codes for every section of the video, so please keep an eye out for that, and let me know in the comment section if you do pull anything good from the codes, and I will see you all for the next video. Peace out, guys.